Good morning. Today is Remembrance Day in Canada. It's a day where we honor our veterans. It's a day where we should start by honoring our veterans 365 days a year. But that's not the way it works in Canada, and we're going to change that starting today. Because let's stop pretending that Canada respects its veterans. It's clear we don't. We put on our solemn faces once a year, bow our heads, play the bugle, recite Lest We Forget in Flanders Fields, and then, just like clockwork, we do exactly that. We forget. We spend November 11th patting ourselves on the back for having a very nice ceremony, for pinning a poppy on our lapel, and for making sure the camera pans tastefully across a cenotaph before cutting back to a smiling anchor on the CBC. Then we roll right back. We roll right back into 364 remaining days of government neglect for our veterans, bureaucratic indifference for our veterans, and public apathy. It stops today. Let's go. Welcome back to Bakes on Things. And if you're a veteran in Canada in 2025 and you don't feel respected, you feel forgotten, well, you probably have every right to feel that way. Let's start with the numbers. Canada has around 600,000 veterans today, and nearly half of them are over the age of 65. According to Veterans Affairs Canada's own data, more than 1 in 5 veterans report difficulty making ends meet in this country. How is that possible? The department supposedly exists to support them, and yet veterans have to fight Veterans Affairs itself for the basic benefits they were promised when they enlisted. In 2024, reports revealed that the average wait time for disability benefits applications was over, get this, 25 weeks, and tens of thousands of those files were still backlogged at the time of that report, in some cases stretching past 10 months. They fought for us. Think about that. People who were ready to lay their life on the line for this country have to wait nearly a year for the same government who sent them there to decide if they qualify for support when they can no longer work because of their injuries. In the United States, a veteran with the same conditions would often get an interim benefit decision in just weeks, not months, and they can appeal through a fully staffed Veterans Legal Assistance Program. In Canada, you get a bureaucratic loop and a politely worded email saying your claim is still under review. How is this possible? In the U.S., veterans have the VA loan program, mortgage rates that are below market, and zero down payment, and flexible credit conditions on top of that. It's one of the reasons homeownership among U.S. veterans is higher than the national average of homeownership in the entire country. Canada, we have nothing. No veterans mortgage program, no special rate, no financial incentive to help someone who served buy a home in the country that they defended themselves. You get a pat on the back, and if you're lucky, a poppy decal on your provincial license plate. In America, major retailers like Under Armour, Delta Airlines, Home Depot, Lowe's, Apple, hundreds more offer permanent discounts to veterans and their families. Not as a PR stunt or marketing, but as a sign of consistent institutional respect for their veterans. In Canada, the list is embarrassingly small. You might find the odd 10% off at Mark's Work Warehouse twice a year if you dig through the fine print, but unfortunately, that's about it. And benefits? Well, the U.S. Veterans Administration spends, guess what? The equivalent of $21,000 actually, per veteran, per year, on things like health, housing, and support. In Canada, that number is just under $7,000. The United States has full-scale veterans hospitals in every major state. In Canada, we closed ours. We have a patchwork of clinics scattered across provinces, some run by nonprofits, thankfully, and in rural areas, nothing. And let's talk about suicide and homelessness for a second, because this is a rampant problem among veterans, especially here. The two ultimate measures of whether a nation truly takes care of its veterans are these two items: And between 2010 and 2020, over 600 Canadian veterans died by suicide. The rate among female veterans is twice that of the general population. The federal government's response to all of this? A few studies, a few pilot programs, and more awareness campaigns. Meanwhile, in major Canadian cities, veterans make up to 5% of the entire homeless population. How is that possible? That's tens of thousands of people who wore our flag, who wore the maple leaf on their shoulder, who fought under our proud flag, now sleeping in shelters or on the street while our government cuts ribbons on affordable housing projects that never go anywhere. And yes, every November, on November 11th, we tell ourselves we care. We televise parades. We talk about the sacrifice they made. We air glossy ads showing politicians laying wreaths. But where are those same politicians when a veteran's PTSD claim is rejected because the paperwork was filled out incorrectly? Where are they when a veteran can't afford therapy because their coverage was maxed out? Where are they when a 75-year-old widow of a Korean War veteran cannot pay for her hydro bill because her survivor's benefit was clawed back by the CRA? Where are they? They don't remember anymore. We treat Remembrance Day like a performance, and our veterans like props in it. Remember when we had Remembrance Day assemblies and our kids do today, acting as if they're soldiers? You want to know the real measure of a nation's gratitude? It's not your kids' Remembrance Day ceremony. It's not in the ceremony at all. It's in the budget. It's in the time it takes to get help. It's in whether a veteran can walk into a clinic to be seen immediately, whether they can access housing before becoming homeless, whether they can live with dignity themselves for the rest of their lives, not just be a remembered person once per year. It's not fair. We name our streets after the fallen, but we forget the living. We build monuments, but ignore the men and women whose monuments were meant to honor. We tell veterans to reach out if there's any struggle that they have faced, but the phone lines that they're supposed to call, well, they're understaffed or underfunded or both. We ask them to fill out the forms, but the system loses those forms or can't interpret them themselves. And we dare to call ourselves grateful. We dare to say that we are a grateful nation for our veterans. Meanwhile, south of the border, just right there as our neighbors, even with all their potential flaws that they sometimes have, American veterans know they belong to something that lasts. They have Veterans Day sales and Veterans Affairs hospitals in every major city. They have dedicated housing grants, job training programs, college funding for dependents. The Stars and Stripes isn't just flown at half-mast once a year. It's carried by a culture. It's carried by a culture that never stops saying thank you. But here, we say it and then we stop. Here, we think a $5 poppy once a year covers it. That's our check mark. We treat gratitude like a seasonal subscription to Netflix. We say, lest we forget, while literally forgetting the next day. And that's why this year, my message is different in this episode. My message on Remembrance Day is simple. To every Canadian veteran, we see you. Even when the government won't, we do. We hear you. Even when the system won't, we do. You fought for this country, and we're going to keep fighting for you, because it's the reason I can even do this today. Not just on November 11th, but every single day after it. Because the way Canada treats its veterans right now is not patriotic. It's pathetic. This Remembrance Day, by all means, everyone watching this, remember, wear your poppy, attend the ceremonies, teach your kids to stand in silence. But when those trumpets fade, when the poem is over and the wreaths are taken down, remember that real remembrance isn't about what you do once a year on November 11th at 11:11 a.m. It's about how we treat the people who kept us free every other day of the year. And until this country wakes up and lives that actual truth, the word remembrance will remain just that, a word. Thank you. We remember.